Hello there! Today is what I will call the beginning of Fire Emblem's darkest night, as not only this, but the next two chapters are all Fog of War. Fun. The gist of this level is quite similar to 4X actually, except instead of being an escape, this chapter is a siege, but you're still in a dungeon area with children to rescue. But another big difference you'll notice right away is the
Hallway of Death
at the very start of the map. It's single file and filled with javelin soldiers to poke you from afar and flanked by archers and mages to chip you to death. All combined, they can pose an issue if you aren't prepared with enough long-range attackers to thin them out, but play intelligently and you should get by no problem. But the chapter itself has a few other wrinkles to it as well. You'll notice Olwyn from chapter 10 locked in a cell with 3 children and a soldier harassing her with a javelin. Thankfully though, Fred joins at the start of turn 2 in the top left, poised to break her out. But one word of caution, do not open the cell she is in until the boss has been dealt with. He has 2 long-range tomes and will target the children as they flee, and each one nets you a valuable reward in the next chapter. So boss first, break Olwyn out later. And don't feel pressured or anything, but there are reinforcements to deal with. Turn 8 brings soldiers right below Olwyn's cell, and will also spawn from turn 10 to 15 at the escape point for the children in the top left, which is also where Fred joins you. But once the boss is captured or killed, the reinforcements are cancelled. Now then, on to the chapter. For units to bring, anyone with the ability to use ranged weapons will suffice. Othin and Havan, Dagda, Asphal, Fergus and Shiva, Nana, and even Selfina if you want to. Nana especially is a good bring since her charisma helps quite a lot in the
Hallway of Death.
And of course, you'll either need a thief or a couple of door keys to open the locks here. As you progress through the
Hallway of Death,
try to keep your support pairs as neatly compact as possible to maximize a void, especially against the 2 archers with poison bows. Equip your ranged fighters with their ranged weapons and slowly trudge through, but before ending your turn or at the start of the next one, light a torch or use the torch staff from the previous chapter to help Fred out when he appears on turn 2. Speaking of which, let's take a look at old Fredbear now. Fred is a lot more the traditional Fire Emblem Gigan than Dagda or Yvel. He just showed up late for work and got pushed back a crapload of chapters to be recruited now, and that totally isn't a bad thing. He's the traditional Gigan standard of being a paladin with lowest stats for a promoted unit, while still likely being ahead of most of your units, and in all honesty, Fred isn't a bad unit, just not an especially good one. He's perfectly average. In his favor are some nice base growths, especially in strength, along with some excellent starting weapon ranks. But taking away from that are some pretty mediocre starting stats and a measly PCC of 1. Fred can pull his own weight, and being a paladin he has uses with large movement, but he's on the lower end of the Gigan scale for sure. Now then, Fred starts at the top left, and you'll want to move him east to rescue the children and Olwyn, along with taking out the soldiers threatening them. He brings yet another Thunder Sword with him, which you haven't gotten by now, is identical in stats to the Fire Sword, aside from giving +5 to skill instead of magic. If you've lit a torch, Fred will be able to move and attack the soldiers in the same turn, so do so, and engage the soldiers at melee range, so he can kill them in only 1 round of combat, thus saving uses of the Thunder Sword. They all carry javelins anyway, so they can counter the potential range advantage. While Fred is busy at this, continue on through the
Hallway of Death
until you're able to go right into the main area. Depending on your torch placement, you may be able to see the boss. He's a bishop with a couple siege tomes and a physic, but no weapons, so he can be captured instantly. Though, depending on your turn count, it may be safer to just kill him from afar. You'll also notice he has a door key. He'll use it to open the doors in his room on turn 30 to escape, but I highly doubt anyone would take that long for this chapter. The bishop will attack you right away if he is able, yet sometimes I have seen him not do so until you're just adjacent to his room. Maybe it has something to do with lighting a torch? I don't know. Just make sure you keep any injured units topped up so they don't get surprise gibbed by bolting or meteor. Once you're out of the
Hallway of Death,
you'll encounter some sword armors with iron blades you may want to capture, and a small enclosed area to the mid-right filled with poison bow archers that you should stay away from. If you want to take the boss out right away, you can hit him on the throne from 2 spaces above in the empty alley between his room and the archer's bunker, but do so at your own discretion, since it places you in range of all 3 archers and 2 mages with wind tomes that could prove troublesome if you keep getting hit while also taking them out. It's probably better you going through the main entrance anyway to the south so you can capture the boss normally, as you will also be able to capture the armors for their battle axes and the mages for their wind tomes. And as I will say again, wind tomes are powerful as shit. You can never have too many of them. Once the boss is taken out, feel free to open Olwyn's cell and have the children escape. Fred starts in your party automatically, but having him talk to Olwyn will also get her to join, and hopefully he brings her personal weapon to use right away. So let's talk about her now. Olwyn is another pre-promote, and also your second magic tome user unless you promoted Safie earlier, though I would say that doesn't really count since you don't even get light magic until chapter 14, but I digress. Olwyn is a mage knight, a mounted mage that also uses swords, all of which on or off the mount, and Olwyn in my opinion has the highest potential of any unit in Thracia 776, and among the highest in all Fire Emblem. Her starting stats are a bit flimsy and leave her quite squishy, but Olwyn can dish out massive destruction right away with her personal magic tome Dime Thunder, a 15 might, 70 hit, 20 crit thunder tome that has a brave effect. Damn. It isn't all sunshine and rainbows though, as it will weigh Olwyn down 12 points of speed while equipped, essentially killing all her avoid and allowing any enemy with 4 speed to double attack her until she gets her speed way up, all of which is a huge defensive risk. But the offensive prowess is undeniable. At base stats, Olwyn deals 25 damage with each hit before the enemy can react, which is enough to kill nearly everything, including most bosses until late-ish game, and it is especially deadly when coupled with Ambush, the scroll for which you get in the very next chapter. It's still a very risky strategy, as if you miss just a few times, Olwyn can easily die, but it can be extremely effective, especially with a holy water boost. But Olwyn can use other magic tomes as well, especially wind tomes, and with just 20 casts of thunder magic, Olwyn can start slinging bolting across enemy maps to take out ballista or staff users. She also has sea swords, but given her low strength, they're probably out of the question unless you really build that stat up. But combine all these features with some excellent base growths and a wonderful PCC of 4, and you get a unit that once built up can wreck face like no other character, provided you think the investment is worth it. You see, one thing about Olwyn is she's actually the Aaron to a Samson that comes much later in the game, which if you didn't know, the Aaron and Samson archetype is a pair of units of which you can only recruit one. Think Carl and Harkon or Wallace and Geitz from Blazing Sword. This other unit is also a Mage Knight that you get 7 chapters later in one of 2 routes that has the same growth as Olwyn, but comes at a higher level with higher stats and weapon ranks, a pair of useful skills and powerful weaponry at the cost of a PCC of 0 and, well, requiring that you don't use Olwyn. You can only recruit this unit if Olwyn is dead or unrecruited. Being captured won't do. I'll talk more about this unit when his chapter comes up, but I'll say now there isn't really a wrong choice to be had, as each fills a different niche. And if you're going the opposite route to his recruitment, well, you won't even be able to get him anyway, so there's that. For now, Olwyn is a very welcome addition simply for using magic, so you may as well take her along. Once the children have escaped, feel free to capture the throne to end the chapter. Next time, your first encounter with the Sleep Staff, a character returning from the bus, enemy thieves that will actually try to steal from you, and even more blocky forests. Yay!